everyone, welcome back. In this video, I am going to play around with this beautiful sentiment stamp collection by Kathy Zilski and Simon Says Stamp. I love everything about it. I love that we have a variety of fonts and a variety of greetings. I love this. So we are going to create a fun card. Simon Says Stamp did send this over to me so that I could create with this and inspire you. So I'm also going to be playing around with this friend outline die. This isn't new, but I'll link it for you as well. But I thought this would be fun, and then we could use this as our sub-sentiment. Okay, so I'm going to move this over, and we're going to start with the friend die. And I really want to make a fun, colorful card. So I have a variety of cardstock, and this is the color palette I want to use. So I have honeysuckle, nectar, creamsicle, buttercup, sea glass, and powder. And I'll link those colors for you down below. But what we're going to do is cut each one of those out with one of the letters. So I'm going to trim these a little further down because we don't need that much. So I can save my scraps. And I thought it'd be fun to have something really colorful and bright. Okay, so what I'll do is let me grab my little cutting plate. So the first one is going to be the F. So what I'm going to do is simply just place this paper by the F, and we'll cut this out. Okay, and I need to clean the bottom of my die cut machine because it does not want to stick to my craft mat. So it must have a crumb on it or something. If yours stops sticking, the suction, it just needs to be cleaned. So get a little wet wipe and wipe it down. It'll be good as new. Okay, so this is a really fun die because it does an outline as well as the inside. And what I'm going to do, because I really want to create a fun look with some texture here, is I'm going to keep them together. So I'm just going to be ever so careful as I cut these out so that I can keep those all together. Okay, my next color is going to be this nectar, which is my favorite by far. And I'm going to keep a little pokey tool off to the side here just to help get these little pieces out. Okay, so I'm just going to go through, hover the paper where the letter is that I want to cut out, and let's get all of these colorful letters cut out. Okay, that last one kind of fell apart, and I have behind the scenes cut out a bunch of these, and that was the last one and the only one that actually came apart. So these actually stay together pretty well. So I'm just going to recut that out instead of fighting with it because all my other pieces have just stuck together wonderfully. So just keep it nice and easy. Let's see if we can get this one to do it. Oh my goodness, 2 for 2. That is hilarious. The last one, and it's being such a stinker. Oh, I really want to see this work out though, because I like the idea of having the outline with it. So, third time is the charm. Like I said, I spent actually last night cutting all of these out, all the other layers, because we're going to glue them all together and create some fun dimension, and not a one had an issue. I wonder if it's where it's positioned on my cutting plate or how I'm trying to poke it up, maybe. Oh goodness, this little D. All right, you're gonna stay put because I need you. So we're gonna use this no matter how much of a stinker it is. Okay, there is our D. Okay, let me put all of these scraps away, all my little trash pieces, and then we're going to start playing with the front panel of the card. Okay, and like I said, I did cut out 2 additional, so we're gonna have 3 layers to create some fun dimension here. So what I want to do is, you know, while these are all ready to go, why don't we just glue these together? That way we can give these ample time to dry while we're doing other things. Okay, so I'm gonna grab liquid glue as well as a pair of tweezers, and we're just gonna get going on this. I had a white layer, but I'm not gonna use that, and I'll show you how I got that later because I was trying to think of a way to get this to all line up. Okay, so let me remove my white letters. I can use those for another project. And I have an acrylic block here to set these under as I glue them. Okay, so I'm gonna be ever so careful again because I want to keep these together. But once they are glued, we're gonna be good to go. So let's go ahead, pitch that a little bit less. Some glue on the back of these. Okay, and then a layer. Okay, so there is 1. All right, and then I'll add 2. And that glue is just going to seep into the little cuts and glue that all together. All right, so now I'm just going to let these dry, but I have a nice substantial piece there. Okay, so then I'm going to sneak these right under, and I'll continue going through my alphabet. Okay, it was the D again. It just doesn't want to play along. That's okay. Okay, I also am going to, I've been thinking through this because this took me a little bit. I am going to also add the white to the back side of these, and it's going to be hard for you to understand why right now. However, also I should have zoomed in. I'm so sorry. Okay. I am going to show you later because you'll visually see why I want the white on the back. And this one is, goodness, is this 110 pound? Yes, this is 110 pound cardstock. So we are going to, you know what I'll do? I'm going to flip everything. That way I can do a tweezer on just 1 instead of the layer of 3. But let's go ahead and add this 110 in white to the back of each of the letters. And I'm adding plenty of glue so that, again, the glue kind of seeps out into the outline and then connects those pieces. Okay, let me do this real quick and then we are good to go. Okay, so we are all ready for the next step finally. Okay, let's let these all set. They're looking so good. And put this back on my glue real quick. Okay, now what I want to do is, again, that white back piece was 110-pound cardstock. So I want to have my panel be 110-pound cardstock as well. So I have my mini trimmer here. I also have 110-pound cardstock at the A2 size, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm just going to trim that down 1/4 inch. So we'll have 4 by 5 1/4, I believe. I might take more off. Let me see my friend. I could do more actually. Let's do 5 1/8, or should I just do the 5? Yeah, let's do the 5 by 3 3/4. Okay. Let's see, is that lined up? Okay, there we go. That'll be a good size. Okay, let me remove that. And then what I want to do is I'm going to take the die because I want everything to line up without any guesswork. So I'm going to take the die and I'm going to cut it right out of this little piece here. That way it's going to give us a template to inlay these back into. So real quick, let me see where I'd like that. And I'm going to have it be up a little bit because I want to do a sub-sentiment down below. So let me take these out. If I can think of a sub-sentiment. I'm really liking all the thanks. Or you really saved me. You knew what I needed. I appreciate you so much. I really like the I appreciate you so much. Yeah, okay. So we'll end up doing that. So I do want it, yeah, I want that up. All right, so what I'm going to do is let me position that where I'd like it. I'm going to tape this into place and then I'm going to run it through my die cut machine. Okay, I went ahead and ran that through off camera and I actually positioned it super carefully without tape because I was worried the tape was going to rip my cardstock. Sometimes that can happen. Okay, so here is friend. I love that. So now the reason why I wanted the white on the back is because I want, when we go to inlay these, I want to build back up where our card is. Oh, I have something there. Is that from my cutting plate? Let me see. I wonder if I can mend that just a little bit. Yep, I could. Okay, there we go. That way I don't have those 3 layers of my color cardstock sinking into the back of the piece. I want to make sure all 3 of those layers sit on top. Okay, so here we are with our card panel, friend. And if you didn't want to take this much work, because let's just be real, this is a lot of work, you could instead grab your paper strips and you could add them to the back, which would be adorable. So another idea of how you could have fun with this. But now, since we've cut this out, we have a little area that we can just inlay those in, knowing that they're going to just be perfectly lined up and spaced. Okay, so I really want to have fun with a little bit of ink here. So I went ahead and pulled, and I'm going to actually need to move all of these. So I'm going to put these right back in here. They're nice and dry. I pulled all of the coordinating colors for the cardstock that I used. And what I'm thinking of doing is kind of doing a watercolor surrounding each of the little letters and what color they are. So I need to put these in order. I have it going like this. Okay, and then, yeah, no, that's correct. Okay, and then I'm gonna grab my tape real quick and tape this into position. And I hope this works how I'm thinking in my head. We'll see. Let's just tape this down. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm just going to take a little bit of ink, just a little bit, especially for this honeysuckle. This is a very vibrant color. I have some test card stock off to the side that I can play with before I do it on my main panel. And I also have a little spray bottle here. So I'm going to spray this down. I really want this diluted. Okay. And let's see, maybe more than that though. Okay, I need to keep my colors in mind. Okay, that actually looks pretty good. So what I want to do is I'm just going to bring some color kind of around each letter, just to kind of have fun with some color. And I'll do it a little bit more on these end pieces. Oh, that's going to be fun. Okay. Okay, done, easy peasy. So I'm going to let these stay because I might end up doing, no, I'm going to not do any more. I was going to say I might flick some paint on there. Ooh. No, I'm not going to do that. That's just going to be too much. I'm going to keep this nice and simple. Okay, I'm going to move on to my nectar. Okay, and you can't even see that. This is such a mild color. I'm going to make sure my paintbrush is all cleaned off. Let's spray this down. Okay. Actually, we didn't need to spray it that much because this needs all the help it's going to get. Okay, so I'm grabbing a lot of that. Okay, that should be better. So, grabbing the next color, and I'm just going to bring that right over the R. Okay, just being gentle with all the color. Okay, the next one is Creamsicle, and I'm just going to keep going right down the line. Okay, so there is where I'm going to stop. And you could keep going and maybe add some flecks of paint, but I'm just trying to see. Yeah, I think I'm gonna be good there. Okay, so now what I wanna do is I'm gonna let that dry for a minute. I'm also going to, you know what? I wanna see if I can redo this and have it just be a tad lighter. Yeah, I just want it a tad lighter. So if not, I'll have two to compare, but I want to see if I can make this a little bit more muted. Okay, I love that. So here is the difference between the two. I just want it to be a little bit more of a background and not just so bold. So I'm going to keep this for another card, and I'm probably going to just put, well, I don't know if I could put like white on the, ooh, it'd be really neat. Yeah, that could be another card. Okay, so I'll keep that and repurpose that, but this is more of the look that I was going for. All right, now you could further like flick on some paint. So let me see, there's some blue in there. Can test it over here, what that would look like. Ooh, that could be really fun. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of flick in the area of each color. So like the F has that pink. Then we have the R with the nectar, which you can barely see. So I may allow this orangey color to kind of overlap both. Just to give a little bit of fun look. Okay, I like that. And then I'm going to move on to this yellow. Flick that on. Kind of staying more around the top so this stays pretty bare down here. Okay, some of the Tide Pool, or no, sea glass. Sea glass. There we go. And again, just hovering around the letter. Stand a little bit more. Okay, and then finally we have, let's see, powder. And if your color gets, you know, into other colors, it's fine. This is just kind of for fun. Okay, I really like that. Looks great. So now I'm going to let this dry for a minute while I clean up. And then we're going to get that sentiment stamp and stamp that down. And I also heat set this with my heat tool so that it's now dry immediately, but it also really straightened out my panel again. Okay, I'll bring my mini Misty in. Now this is all dry and ready to go. And I think I can set it just like so. Yeah. All right, so let's grab that sentiment. So I think I wanted to do I appreciate you so much. I love that. Grab that off. Now I want to make sure that I get this perfectly lined up because I've already spent a lot of time on this panel and I don't want to ruin it. So I'm going to tuck that fairly close and I like that. So I'm just gonna make sure with my Misty door that is straight. Yep, I'm using the little grid lines on there. And then just to make sure that this stays put, I'm just gonna ensure with a piece of tape. Okay, now that's placed down. All right, let's grab black ink for some nice contrast. Usually I condition the stamp, but I don't want to rub because it's such a dainty stamp that I don't want to misalign it. Ah, I love it. Appreciate you so much. I'm going to double stamp that. Oh, hold on. I think I missed one little part there. Okay. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, so there is my final panel. Isn't that neat? I really like that. All right, now I need to think about a card base. Okay, I'm gonna go with a Nectar card base. So I will score this at 4 1/4. Is that correct? Yes. I have to think about my math there for a second. Because I usually do top folding cards and I usually don't do a landscape card, but this is my second this year so far. So, okay. There we go. There was one side that had a little bit of something on it. Oh, you know what? It's on the inside. That's not good. All right. So now what I want to do is I'm going to open this. Make sure that's nice and dry. I'm going to open this up and then what I'm going to do is add foam tape to the back here. And I'm going to be intentional and add foam tape right behind these openings so that I can use that as adhesive as well. So first I'll start there and then I'll add as needed, but let's go ahead and do that. And I'm just gonna add some near the edges. Oops, I got that a little long. I'm gonna add some near the edges, that way it's got good, strong support. And there we go. Okay, and I'll grab my little pokey tool to help bring up those liners. All right, I am loving how this is turning out. I had this in my mind yesterday and kind of had to sleep on it to think if, you know, I thought it was gonna work, and thank goodness it did. Okay, so now I have my adhesive there. Not only is it helping to create some dimension on my card, but now it's gonna help me glue down my letters. Okay, loving that tiny dimension there. I will grab liquid glue, however. That way we have a little bit of playroom. Oops, actually I shouldn't do it in the middle of that R, because then we'll see it. Sorry, N, totally skipped you. Okay. There we go. I'm just going to kind of buff that out. All right, now, I guess the only thing bad about that though is that when we put this through, you're going to see adhesive in there, but that's okay. Okay, so what I'll do is, unless we grabbed the middle of the D somewhere and stuck it in there, but I'm not gonna worry about it. Okay, so we're gonna do friend, and again, you can just stick those right in place because we have a template. Okay, and then where is the D? Oh, it's right there. Oh goodness, I almost panicked. The last bit of this, and don't want to lose a letter. Especially the D. Oh my gosh. Just wanted to be a stinker the whole time. And I love the little outline too. I think that is super fun. Actually, is that supposed to go the other way? I don't know if these are a perfect mirror image of one another. N and the D. Okay, so friend, I appreciate you so much. I'm gonna finish this off with a dewdrop embellishment because I have so much color and I don't want to take away from that. I'm gonna pick something super neutral. So I'm going to do a duo up here. And then just to kind of elongate the card, I will do my trio there. All right, let's grab the wand and find the size that I would like. So we have this, and these will dry clear once that glue dries. So right now they look kind of cloudy, but they will be clear after the glue dries. And add the third. Completely in love with how that turned out. I am so glad that I ended up redoing the panel. I just think this would have been a little too much, and especially this pink, it started taking on kind of a different color. So I wanted to keep that really muted so that it was there and fun, but it wasn't too extremely bold. I really wanted the letters to be the pop. And then you can see the dimension on that card. Isn't that really pretty? So I love that. Okay, everything that I used will be linked down below. I am going to dumpster dive and find the middle of that D and stick it right in there. Luckily, it was right on the top. So I don't think the R is as noticeable, but the D is absolutely noticeable, especially with that line of the edge of the foam tape. So we're going to sneak this in, push it all the way down, and there we go. All right, everyone, hopefully you enjoyed watching this. I will see you all in the next video.